Okay. So actually there was a phrase that I think has been incorrectly said a lot of times. So I'm not 100% sure that this is the correct saying. But do you know the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none?
No. This is the Ellie
And Lee Show. Okay, so for chapter 6, I actually think you would like most of the quotes.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's get into it. So the theme of this is work to learn. Yeah. So work to learn. Do you have any idea about it? Like when you just hear that?
Like what it says is that just don't work for only the money, but to learn. Because everything, if you are willing to learn, there are so many lessons you can take from that.
Yeah. Also, like when you learn, well, this is just my opinion. When you learn something, to me, it stimulates my brain a lot more than just doing something because I have to. Like I was learning game programming. So initially it was really difficult, but the moment I started to get things going, then like when I got a little piece of code working, it felt really good.
Yeah, that's true. That's like a small accomplishment, but it feels really good.
Yeah, it's like a different kind of dopamine hit, I guess.
Reward system.
Yeah,
Sounds
but
like
I think the difference is you actually interacting more, like when you're learning. Well, in my case, I think the programming, like you have to actually type code to do something.
Yeah.
And then once you do something, then you get that dopamine hit. It's not like maybe flipping through Instagram where it's just swipe.
Okay. You're saying this reward system is more than just to gain from online surfing.
No, I'm saying it's more interactive. You actually have to do something to get the dopamine.
Yeah, and I think in this case, since it's interactive reward, it is kind of showing that you are on the right track.
Well, in learning, yeah, that can be said.
Yeah.
Because, if you get the right answer, it means you leveling up your learning.
Yeah, something like that. So,
Yeah.
because when you think about it, like when you get reward, actually you can get it without you try to do something.
Yeah, like that's watching a YouTube video or, you know, scrolling through Instagram or Twitter or whatever the case may be.
That's really easy reward.
Yeah, and you're not really putting
Any
effort. Yeah, so I think the one where you're actually interacting or maybe creating something is obviously better. And then that's part of learning.
Learning is usually interactive and needs some effort.
Yeah, but it's not always fun.
It's usually not fun.
No, I think learning programming is pretty fun.
Okay.
Yeah, because the thing with programming, it's like at the very beginning, there's a very limited number of things you can do. And you do get that dopamine from it. But then the more you learn, the more complex the programs you make can be. And then that builds your imagination. Because think about it, when you first, like in your case, when you first think of how you're going to design an app or something, right? Your imagination runs wild. Like you have the exact idea of the kind of app you want to make and that sort of thing. Then the moment you first start learning it, maybe the only thing you can do is just get some text input and output something, right?
Yeah.
But then each time, or the more you learn, then the more you kind of unlock the tools you need to reach that, to reach the thing that you imagined.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, you know, the same with any kind of learning. You know, let's say you think that some kind of sport is really interesting, like soccer or whatever the case may be. Then the first time you try to play soccer, you know, maybe your imagination is of being, or if you've watched like a pro soccer player, then you have that imagination of scoring a really crazy goal or something like that. But then the first time you start, maybe you never hit the goal.
Yeah, or hit the right ball.
Yeah, until you start to get at it, and then it's like, oh, okay, I can score from this distance, I can score at that angle and things like that, and then you slowly realize what you imagine. Yeah, so I think that's kind of interesting. That's the really interesting factor about learning. But then again, like when it comes to learning at school, I never liked it. Because I always felt like, oh, what's the point of learning these things?
Yeah.
I wasn't really learning it for myself. I was just learning it to maybe do well in a test or something like that. Or someone said that, oh, it's important for your future.
There was no motivation. That might be why you were not into learning.
Yeah, there was no internal motivation.
And I believe people can enjoy when they learn only when they have some interest in it.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
everyone's interest is so different. Based on the talents the people were born with,
Yeah.
it decides what they are gonna be interested in. So
To a
let's
certain
say,
degree.
so let's say you were born with the brain with like really fast calculation or something like that. That person would have more chance to like the math than any other person, any other people.
Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like learning itself, for me, I kind of like to learn like different things in the world. But when it comes to competition, I really hate it. Because like that gives me some pressure that I need to do extra, and like I need to put more effort even though I think it's enough or whatever.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
think the way we are learning in Korea is kind of not the best way, but I understand why the system is like this. But
How
still,
do you usually learn?
not really debate or like having diverse thoughts. It rather has a set answer and then we need to memorize it. But like it has that good side of the education, because when I think about the history of our country, obviously we were developed a lot in such a short period. So in that aspect, it's good and it's extreme, but anyway, it works. But I'm not sure if people are enjoying learning or they are just doing it because they don't want to be left behind.
Yeah, that would be interesting. If you're enjoying this video so far,
please like and subscribe.
So let's get into the... Are you okay? So let's get into the quotes. So the first one is, life is much like going to the gym. The most painful part is deciding to go. Once you get past that, it's easy. I think, I can really agree with this, because usually the most difficult thing for me is to get started with something.
Oh, okay.
To get started and also to keep it up to a certain degree.
That's pretty much all.
All?
Because plan is done by 2 steps, which is starting. The other thing is to maintain.
Okay. So what do you think about that quote?
I actually disagree with this quote because deciding to go is easy for me, but maintenance is hard. And I believe that like even there is famous saying that starting is half of the job, but like it's good to motivate someone when they are not starting, but maintenance is more valuable in my opinion. Because like, let's say you start to do something, you decided to do something, you can like, it doesn't really take any time to decide. You can just, I'll do that. And that doesn't really take any time, but like maintenance would be like, if it's short, it can be 1 month or it can be like 3 years, so it's not easy.
So it's not only starting, but it's also about maintaining what you start.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the other quote is, it's not even a quote, it's just people say consistency is key, meaning it's like the main point.
And consistency is related to conscientiousness. Yay!
Yeah, that's why I guess I struggle with keeping things going.
And that's the main key for success, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Jordan Peterson said.
Yeah.
It's not my opinion, but there is a view that high conscientiousness is the main key of success. And I guess like from this quote, I assume this person, like the author, is born with high conscientiousness.
Yeah, because part of conscientiousness is industriousness. So then that's that feeling of wanting to get things done.
Okay, it proves that he did something consistently.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so the second quote, do you want to read it?
Being technically specialized has its strength as well as its weakness.
What do you think about that?
I really agree with it, because if you're technically specialized in something, which means that you put more time for that field, but not anything else. So maybe you miss out some things. But I think it's inevitable if you're gonna be specialized in something. And it can be weaknesses, but not to be weaknesses.
Yeah. I think to a certain degree, I think it's always good to, when you can, to try and branch out, to learn other things. Because if you think of like us making YouTube, right? It's not just about recording videos. It's also about editing. It's also about, you know, designing the
reading
banner
books
and thumbnails. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of skills that you need to have. But then when it comes to the case of being specialized or technically specialized, like if a person was just a really good editor, but then didn't have great speaking skills, then, you know, I'm sure there would still be a platform on YouTube for something that they could do, like a niche that they could do. But it might not be as effective as if they had, you know, those extra skills. And again, like if you consider how the job market has changed over time. So actually there was a phrase that I think has been incorrectly said a lot of times. So I'm not 100% sure that this is the correct saying, but do you know the phrase jack of all trades, master of none?
No.
So a jack of all trades means it's someone that can do a little bit of everything, and then master at none means that while they can do a little bit of everything, they're not great at anything. But what I heard was the correct phrase is jack of all trades, master of one. So it's good to be able to do just about everything. Like if you think of like living alone or whatever the case may be, or even living with a family, it's good to be able to cook. It's good to be able to fix stuff around the house. It's good to be able to do your finances and then be like a master at maybe something related to your job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I think, yeah, like you said, it's not, I don't 100% agree with it because, you know, there's some value to being technically specialized.
Yeah, there is.
The only way I see that it isn't is if there's something that's really popular in the job market and then over time that changes.
Oh, yeah.
So let's say, okay, I've got an example now. So let's say there was a period where project managers were a really important thing, right? Because they needed to efficiently, you know, give out work and handle the projects that a company's doing. These days, developers have created software that handles project management, and it can do it better than those project managers. So if you spent all your time, you know, trying to be the best project manager, only to now have to compete with obviously a computer that can do it way better, then if you only focused on project management, how do you transition out of that? You kind of screwed in that sense, because now if there's no longer a demand for project managers, then what do you do?
I think it depends on the situation, because like this kind of quote or example only comes from one specific like experiment, maybe few, but as the situation change, like because the world is changing like every seconds, and then we don't know, like in the future maybe someone technically specialized would be more like useful and valuable. So in that sense, I don't really think that like it's that important to like aim for any like type of person. I mean, like if you're interested in like just being specialized in one field, then just do it. But if the world require you to do more, then just get some other tools or some other techniques, but not too deeply. Then like that's what you said before, Jack.
Jack of all trades, master of one.
Yeah, that might be that. And if you're not really specialized in like not anything, but still like you can earn money and live well. So I kind of believe that it all depends on the situation you are living in, the world.
Yeah, it also depends, because the thing is, you can't assume that someone can rapidly change from being a specialist at one thing to learning a bunch of other things.
No, because let's say someone know how to do edit, that person might not put any effort to other things, because that person might think that, oh, I'm fine because I'm really good at like A, so I don't need to care about B and C and D. But actually, like if that person changes her mind or his mind, then that'll be easier for her to learn, like not in a master level, but like maybe basic level, something like that. Because just learn something widely doesn't mean that you need to be expert on those wide range of things, but just get to know shallow, but know like lots of things.
Please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out.
Thanks for watching. See you.